Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of It's Levels to This with me, your host, Sharon Washington, where we talk about up leveling, elevating your position in every industry you can imagine. Well, today we have a special treat because I follow her. If you don't follow her, you need to follow her. If you ever want to do a podcast, you ever want some motivation on doing anything, right? Like if I'm feeling a way, I'm going to go, let me go check out Ro and see what she's doing. So I
Oh,
can begin to get out there, feel empowered. So welcome. My guest today is Rashonda Pratt. Please tell the audience all about what you do.
I'm so excited. Why am I cheesing? It's like I can't stop cheesing. I think I'm excited because I love that you've launched this video cast, and then I'm excited because I'm with you, of course, and then I'm looking forward to the conversation. So I am like cheesing, and I'm just honored to be here. So I'm Rashonda Pratt, known in the digital streets as the Ro Show Live. I'm a video visibility coach and producer, empowering you to build a brand with video because your visibility is power.
Oh, yes. And so here's a secret.
Yes.
You pushed me to do this. Okay. So I've been talking about it, talking about it, talking about it. And then I talked myself out of it because that
Mm-hmm.
happens, right? You go,
Yes.
it has to be perfect. I am a woman of levels. I'm elevated. I've elevated my fashion, at least that's how I feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elevated my fashion. Everything I do has to be curated in a space that represents my brand. And so
Right.
I was apprehensive about this. And Rashonda, man, looking at you, listening to you, having you give me that little bit of counsel, it was probably like 3, 4, 5 minutes, 3 sentences. You said it. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, if Rashonda says I can do it, it's getting done.
I
Okay,
love it.
so we're going to start off with talking about what does elevation mean to you in a
Mm-hmm.
phrase. And many of my guests have a problem with, kind of summing it up in a phrase, which is okay. If you got 2 phrases, 3 phrases, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a phrase that you can mention about elevation, especially in your industry and what you do, share it with us.
I think elevation is visibility.
Ah,
People have to see you ascend. They have to see you take those next steps. So when I think about elevation, I feel like it's very much akin to visibility, which is being seen, the
okay.
power of sight.
So, um, do you think everyone, so we talk about visibility, do you think
Yes.
everyone can feel this space of visibility? Because I get, I have clients, right? I get my marketing clients that go, hey, I'm an introvert. I go, stop boxing yourself. Okay, got it.
Right.
I'm an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really be in this space because this space, this visibility space here is for extroverts only. Do you believe that?
Mm-hmm. I don't believe that. If people really, so people see me, these frames, these colors, the different hair colors. If you go through my Instagram, you will see that I've been a rainbow of hair colors. And people will say, oh, you've always been like that. And not realize, friend, I actually learned how to be an extrovert.
Ah,
If I go back to my childhood and I think about those beginning years, I think my environment taught me how to be an extrovert. And here's what I mean. My mom put me in dance, gymnastics, Girl Scouts, all of those things, which you're in an environment of leadership and being front and center, right? The
yeah.
other thing about that is my dad was a welder. And so we would always move where the business was. So I've lived in 5 different states. So that means I was always the new girl.
Yes.
So you always have to be like, how do I make friends and how do I introduce myself to people and discovering, okay, what is my personality or learning to take on things. And then also my career as a broadcast journalist. I worked in television news for 20 years. I have to learn how to talk to people and all those things. So I have learned how to be an extrovert and I've learned how to practice extrovert traits. Now, let me add one more thing to that too, because I could hear the introvert saying, well, that's not my story and that's different for you.
Yes.
But here's what I've also discovered 20 years working in television news, across the Southeast. I have colleagues and coworkers who have social anxiety.
Mm, okay.
coworkers who are just like, when I'm not on TV, I am very much comfortable being in my fuzzy socks and being incognito. I don't like people coming up to me and say they recognize me on TV. And I would talk to these folks and say, well, how are you able to do your job? You ready for this? And I know you'll love this when I say this. It's performance,
Yeah.
ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Yes.
Much
Yeah.
of life is a stage, and many of us have learned how to perform. Now, I'm talking about performance in a good way, not
Right.
faking it till you make it and all of those things, but I'm talking about learning how to perform and learning how to put on being an extrovert to your best of your knowledge.
Man, I feel that way. I talk many times when I'm teaching like implicit bias and I'm teaching communication skills. Introvert means that you don't get gain energy from people. It doesn't mean that you're quiet. Many people are like, I'm quiet, I'm observant. No, you
That's
just
good.
don't gain. It depletes your energy with people. We're extroverts. We feed off you. You give us energy, man. It's like a battery. And so
Yeah.
I'm finding that the opposite is happening. I was like you, like we didn't move around, but I'm always like, hi, because I was the only child for 20 years. So I had to like
Wow.
make all sorts of friends. And so it wasn't necessarily easy for me to, say hello, but I kind of pushed myself because I didn't want to be lonely because I needed some of that personal interaction. So introverts
Yes.
just don't gain energy from people. Not that you can't be outward when you want to.
I love that you said that. I think we have to really define what things are. I think we're so much in this digital space and people defining things, and it's like, that's not really the definition. And
Right.
I think also in this, when I've looked back at that, I've been an extrovert I've learned to be one, right? That now, as I'm getting older and I had my hernia baby, that's a
I
whole
love
other
her.
podcast.
I love
Yes.
her.
Having a baby after 40 is very interesting, and so now I think I'm developing these tendencies of, no, I think people don't give me the battery fuel anymore. I think my battery is starting to go a little bit down a little bit. So I mean, it's understanding the space and time in which you are,
I do. I love. I could go when I teach Goldman Sachs. I teach for a full day sometimes, and then they're like, "Hey, let's go to dinner." And in my mind, I'm going, "No, please do not ask me to go to dinner." But
Understand.
but as you said, it's a stage, and they need me, and they only spend this amount of time. But if I had my preference, I probably would go back and watch. Like I'm a big kind of vampire fairy.
Yes.
I get away from reality television and go into fantasy, Game of Thrones kind of person. So
Okay, got it. As long as you know what fuels you. I'm over here making charcuterie boards. So
ah, nice. And I'm kind of getting into like a patchwork, if you will, kind of.
really?
Yeah, so I created a travel jacket with all the places I've gone. I still have about 30 more places, 30 more patches to get to make this jacket, but it's behind me. I got like 30 like international, and it's been
I
a fun
love
journey.
it.
It's been fun. And it's going to be functional. So I'll wear it. It's
Mhm.
gonna be my actual travel jacket.
I love it, and I've got to see this.
Okay,
Okay, I love it.
I'll share. Okay, so you talked about hair journey, hair. You
Yes,
pulled up, and I was like, wait, you're not blonde. What?
you're
Am
not
I not
blonde.
paying attention? You're not blonde, right? So
Yes.
blonde or brunette? What's so or dark or red or what's your
No, it's blonde all the way. Blondes
okay.
really do have more fun.
So yeah, so you're growing it out. It looks beautiful.
Yes. Thank you.
Always look
Thank you
very
so much. Yeah.
manicured. Like I love it. I like even the background. Like I'm like, how does she do? Like, what is that? How do you do that? It's just so simple, but yet effective. So
Yeah. You
go
Well,
ahead.
let me speak to some of that. That is so good. Okay, so about the hair, that was a visibility move.
Okay.
So about 2020, I started dyeing my hair these bright colors. I actually came into the new year of 2020. I'll never forget it. And my hair was much longer then, and I had like this big like cut, and it was all the hair here in the front, and it was cobalt blue. like blue. And I
Huh.
remember coming home and my husband was like, okay, this how we kicking off the new year? I said, yeah. What do you think? That was the boldest I've ever been.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, who says I can't be other colors? So it's been blue, lavender, purple, platinum blonde, blonde, silver, gray, mint green.
Oh, I missed the mint green.
Yeah, that was only for a hot moment because it wasn't a fan favorite. So I was just like, okay, that was only for a moment. But what I realized is that was also a level of me giving myself permission to show up. And I'm going to speak to that for a moment. And then I'm going to get into the other part of that is because in this space of social media, and especially as the African American woman, I think our hair has always become like a political issue. It's become a thing. And I work a lot in corporate settings and corporate spaces. And I'll never forget when I was working in partnership with LinkedIn, creating my LinkedIn learning course. And at the time, I was between hair colors. So I think when I showed up on this call, I went back to the dark blue.
Okay.
I had already knew that I was going to Cali and I was going to be blonde. I already knew I was going to change my hair color by the time I went back. But I was in that setting, and do you know, I sat there as I was getting on the Zoom call for them, and I was thinking, what are they going to say about my hair?
Yep.
Is that going to be an issue, right? You know what I mean by this.
Yep.
And I remember these folks saying, they brought it up. They said, we just also want to point out, we want you to come as all of you. Because what we realize is your hair, your big frames, that's a part of who you are. Right. That's a part of really my brand. And I sat there and I just was like, wow. And they said, so if you're going to come blue, that's great. Whatever color you decide. I'm like, well, I'm going back blonde. But it was one of those things like just giving ourselves permission to show up fully as how we are.
Right.
And the people on the other side of the camera, either you keep scrolling or you keep saying like, okay, this lady's frame game is amazing. I mean, what color is she going to be next week? I'm just going to keep coming. And then it becomes a part of your brand, which is what happened. And so I just think we have to be okay with writing our own permission slip.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Agree.
Okay.
Saying yes.
So
now the background.
Yes.
Yes. So this background is, I just want you to know it's real. A lot of people have wondered if it's a virtual background and those kinds of things. This was totally accidental. This was not intentional. But this has been like the best thing ever. So when I started in the virtual space, I started with what I had. I didn't have fancy lighting. We actually have, this is our in-home studio. So we changed to studio lights, all the things.
Okay.
When I started, I had a white wall and a message in my heart. I started there. Then when I started seeing that this live stream thing was a thing, I said, okay, I want to get a background. So I went and found a photography background. Here's a pro tip. If you're going to get a background, make sure that you get one that is made of vinyl and not paper. Okay.
Look at me writing this down. Look,
yes.
And note it. Yes.
I love it. Here is why. When you do vinyl, it holds up well. It doesn't have wrinkles in it. How many times have you watched someone on live and they have a background and you're just like, I see a wrinkle there or a kink or what's going on? Because it's paper. And once you start to unravel that when it's shipped to you or something happens, it never lays smooth. So this is durable. I've had this for years. So when I started, it was 4x3. Okay. So it literally was a space like this big.
So you're in,
I was like, okay, can't move too far because they're gonna see my dresser. Because at the time I was going live in my bedroom. Okay. So it was like 4x3. And then I noticed that, wait a second, these bubbles caused me to stand out.
Yes.
And it caused me to pop. Here's another pro tip. If you're going to have a background, like, friend, I love your background. Because here's the thing. There's the beautiful title. There's the plants on the side, not growing out the back of your head.
Right.
Another tip. Okay. Another tip. But it's not distracting. The main focus is you. People have these.
I wanted.
People have these backgrounds and it's like too much going on. And the human brain can't take all of that. Like if I see that, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the background more than they're looking at me. And I am the focal point. I am the presentation.
Right.
So I found that this caused me to like pop and stand out because people were like complimenting me, inboxing me, like, where did you get this from? And this is amazing. So then when we moved to our other home, I wanted to get something bigger. And I'm a journalist and we don't do math well.
Okay.
So I went from a 4x3 and I was like, oh, this looks like a good size. This is like 10x19. So when the big shipping tube came in, my husband was like, what is this? And I looked at it and I said, oh, this is my backdrop. And he said, where's this going? I said, I don't know. I didn't think it was that big. He said, did you look at the measurements? I was like, I just didn't read it in my mind. I just didn't think 10 by it takes up the whole entire wall.
Wow. I
So the
love
cool
it though. I love
Yeah.
it.
But the cool thing about that is that during the pandemic, it worked to my good, because when people were still having me come in and do keynote address and presentations, and I wanted to create this environment as if I was in the room with them, I could stand up and do a presentation.
Okay.
I can walk back and forth
Oh
because it
wow.
covers the entire wall.
Nice.
It worked out.
But that, see, tips you get, I'm telling you, and you can do it. And it seems to be,
Yes.
when I see it, I'm thinking, oh, she must have like this amazing kind of office where, like you said, like I'm thinking studio, and I have studio lights in here. I have,
Mm-hmm.
because I do a lot of events, right? So I have studio
Right.
lights. I have a green screen that I can set up, so I
Yes.
can easily get the background and do it. But I don't know, friend. I don't know. I just, it's like,
It's I've tried to walk away from this. I've gone back and forth for the past couple of years of let's change it, let's do something more branded. And I think we're going to do something on the other side of this space here and have like another studio here. We have green screens set up in other backgrounds, but it's one of those things, as someone told me, they were like, Rashonda, that really is your signature. I
yeah,
can't see anybody else with that backdrop without thinking they got it from Row First.
about you. They will. And I may borrow a little
Go
bit.
for it.
It's inspo. I have to just
Yes.
what that actually is going to be. So I thank you for that.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
So when we talk about kind of elevating and
Mm-hmm.
getting your space together, what platform do you think for a beginner and for people who are in the advanced level, like what
Yeah.
platform forms do you believe work best for people who want to be in this space?
Such a good question. So, for the beginner, I'm going to make it real easy. I don't think we realize the power of what's already in our hands.
Mhm.
If you have a smartphone, I want you to hear me and hear me clearly. 20 years as a television news producer, one of the early adopters of using live stream. I want you to hear me when I tell you this. This smartphone is the new remote control.
Oh, wow.
This smartphone. That means that if you're a business owner, speaker, coach, consultant, what you're doing with social media is not about being social. Drop the social and be heavy on the media piece. What
Okay.
you're doing is building your own local channel,
Ooh, they love it.
your own
Hey,
your own media affiliate. Because when I think about what we're doing here with like us doing this interview, this is what I did 20 years working in TV, interviews. When I think about the short form videos that we create that are 15, 30, and 60 seconds in length, my friend, that's the average time of a soundbite on TV.
wow.
When we talk about, who's your audience that's watching this podcast, those are terms that we use in TV. So that tells me my smartphone is the new remote control. We're scrolling.
Ah,
That's flipping channels
yeah,
now.
yeah, that is
So
flipping.
what we have to understand is if you're new to this, I want you to understand that this is the most powerful gadget that you already have in your hand. This camera is high definition. You can use it for everything. Okay. The audio on this is amazing. You can now download editing software. So if you have a smartphone, start with what you already have.
Okay.
Do not think I have to go out and buy all this high powered equipment and do all these things. Start with what you have. You have this, you have a laptop or a desktop, whatever that may be. You may need to buy like an external camera, like a web camera, high
Yeah.
definition. You can do that. But start with what you have and then just get moving. Because when people tell me, oh, I'm waiting until I get my camera, you know what that means? They're not going to do
They're not
anything.
going to do it. So that was me. And I'm
Yes.
still in the space of looking for cameras, but becoming overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, because I
Yeah.
do a couple of things. So I'm ambassador for Caddis Luxury Eyewear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get more high quality into, I'm trying to build my Instagram page is called the SW Life. So that brand is about exposing myself 360. So I
Yes.
want better pictures, but sometimes people are asking me like, "Who's taking your pictures?" I'm like, "Me."
Yeah.
Using a
This
tripod with the cell
this
phone.
phone can do it. Here, I have a friend who works in documentary and film. He used his iPhone to film it. When
Wow.
I worked in TV and we were short-staffed people and cameras, my news director sent me out to go cover a fire. She said, "Take your handy dandy camera." We all knew. She says, "Take your iPhone
Okay.
and go shoot your news, breaking news with my phone that's going to be on air."
Okay. You heard it, guys. You heard it.
I'm just telling you because I know what happens. Two things. If we are waiting to go buy the equipment, you don't buy it, you become overwhelmed. Or two, once you get it, it's sitting in the box. Listen, I have a $600+ camera. I just used it for the first time a week ago. And I still don't know how to function it. My 12-year-old figured it out before I did.
That's how
Because guess what? Creatures of habit, and this works, and this is easy. So start there. Now, the other thing that you have to ask yourself, whether you're a beginner, you are intermediate, or you are a pro, you have to ask yourself, what is it that I want to do with this content? So
Okay.
one of the things from the very beginning, when I started in the live stream space, I knew that I always wanted to present my content like a show because that's my background. That's the TV part of me, the TV news producer part of me. So I knew I always wanted to do that. So it was always the roast show live.
Yes.
It was always, I always produce my content like a show. So then you have to think about what is it that you want to do that's going to set you apart, that's going to cause you to next level this in your industry. I love the fact that you are doing a video podcast. You know, it's not just driven by audio, but we want people to have the visual experience because that's a part of your secret sauce and a part of who you are. So you have to understand that. For me, it's always going to be live content
Yes.
because people enjoy me live. I enjoy it. People get a chance to interact. I love educating people. So that's going to be one of my major drivers. So you have to figure that out. And that's going to help dictate how you show up and how you create the video content.
I love this makes me more excited, to be honest with you, because I'm like, what do I do with this? I'm starting to follow like content creators, but giving tips like on taking pictures with your
Mm-hmm.
taking pictures, doing video where it looks
Yeah.
really high. And like you said, like I get all the latest iPhones. So I might have a 13 or whatever I have. But
Right.
it is
Mm-hmm.
enough where I can film in all these different spaces. I don't even know how to use this phone. I mean, part of it, I go, I don't know how to maneuver this until I've been watching these tutorials. I'm like, oh, my pictures are looking better, and I can do
Right. I can do that with this phone.
so
Yes,
that
you can.
you widescreen, you have a wide shot, you get all of this. Like, who knew?
New.
Who knew? You turn the camera upside down.
Right.
Well, thank you, right? Thank
And
you.
it's such a lesson in everything we have is already in our hands.
Yes.
It's such a powerful lesson in the fact of we spend so much time searching outside of us and not realizing I have a major tool right here in my hand. And I have used this major tool to work with companies like the Kellogg Foundation, Boeing,
Wow.
LinkedIn Learning,
Nice.
okay, to
Okay.
be on the Tamron Hall show, the Today Show twice, CBS to Talk. I'm just trying to give you all permission who are watching this to say, well, if this lady is still using her phone, and many of the influencers that I know, right, the Sean
Yeah.
Cannells of the world, Mr.
Yeah.
YouTube, I call him, he uses his phone. He has other devices, but you cannot just sit here and say, well, you just need to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You
Bottom
need
line.
to
I
learn
need
how
to
to
learn
use
how to
it.
use what's in my hand.
Anyone that you can call out to give
Mm-hmm.
tutorials. I guess you go on YouTube and you can Google it and follow people on Instagram. I find that Instagram keeps my attention because it's bite-sized pieces,
Correct.
different functionalities of the
Mm-hmm.
phone. So I go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
because if I get kind of this entire tutorial, I'll go, yeah, I'm not.
Right. I like Think Media, Sean Cannell. I like to follow him. I also like to follow the people who are the producers of podcasts.
Okay.
So that's a pro tip, because those are the people who are shooting, filming. Like I teach our clients how to think like a producer.
Yeah.
So I like to follow this pastor who is just so in your face. His handle is Upset the Gram, Tim Ross. Everybody who's a part of his podcast, they're called Basement Dwellers. And he's just, I mean, just how he talks about scripture, but just life is just so like in your face, and it's funny, and he loves to call people fam. It's just amazing. So I started following his podcast producer and got a pro tip about an app that you can use to upload long form video, much of what we're doing today, which long form is over 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And this AI technology, I'll share it with you, will take your video and go ahead and clip it into bite-sized pieces for you. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Here's the part. For free.
No way.
I tried it last night.
Sign me up. Do you see why I follow her? Do you see why I follow? This is Jim. This is Jim's.
There's a lot of AI technology out there. I mean, I know that people have their things about AI, and all those things, but there's AI technology out there that's going to help you make your content creation process so simple. Do you know how much hours and also money it takes to take a broadcast like this that may be 40 minutes, in length, and have someone cut that up? That means that person has to listen to the space, figure out, okay, these are the best points, this is the best thing. And the thing about this particular software, not only do they find the best pieces and already edit it for you, add captions and all kinds of other clever things, they also rate it and give you the title. If it's to say, okay, I tried it last night, they gave me a rating on one of my things, 94%. This has a high rating because it has a high probability to go viral. People really like it. It has a great strong hook, call to action. All of that by me just copying a link. I'm gonna say, I'll show it to you afterwards.
Please. I need all of that. You guys, you should follow her.
Yes, please.
Hire her. You do need people to consult you in these spaces if you want to carry it, if you want to elevate it. But I think the most important part here, Ro, is that they should start. Do it.
Just start. Take messy action. It's going to be a hot mess express. Let me just go ahead and just tell you, you're gonna look bad. Yeah. It's going to look bad. You're gonna look bad. But everyone has to understand that failure is a part of the process. Right. And I don't know anybody who starts. Like when I think about my 5-year-old and when she started walking. When she started walking, it was crawling first. And then when she got her legs and they felt a little stronger, she was wobbling, and then she would fall. She would dust herself off, get back up, and start walking. Now this kid is 5 and she's running everywhere. Why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because you have to understand that you win or you learn. Okay. That failure is not really what we have defined failure as being. It's really the process in which we learn what worked and what didn't work. Right. So you just have to take messy action and really embrace the fact that I am going to take on the mindset of I embrace progress over perfection.
Nice.
Every single time.
I love this. All right. Time's up for us. I'm so good. I know.
Bring me back. I'm begging to come back.
We're trying to get you live. Remember, we talked about that. I'm trying to get you here live to figure out what that looks like. Can you please tell the people how to get in touch with you? What kind of new things? I know you have this new LinkedIn session. Yes. Go check out. So I definitely will share the link in YouTube, but please tell them how to get to you.
Sure. So follow me all across social media. I hang out these days on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok at The Rose Show Live, TheRoSholive. And then over on LinkedIn, we have a LinkedIn learning course, How to Be Seen and Heard as a Video Creator. It's free right now, like free. It's 15 minutes in total. The total course is 15 minutes because it's really micro learning and giving you the things that you need to be seen and heard as a video creator. And then also, if you want to know some of the events that we have coming out, we're on a content creation tour. And so if you want to find out about our tour, go to theroseshowlive.com.
All right. Thank you again for tuning in. You guys, don't forget, an episode drops every Wednesday, right? Every Wednesday on YouTube. Don't forget to share, like, and follow. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe as well, too. And so you'll see the different levels of what happens. Thank
Yes.
you again, Ro. We will have you back, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.